Welcome to Live Unashamed, where we pause the show and invite members of our team to talk vulnerably about their own recovery, things they're learning, the resources that are actually working, and what it truly means to live unashamed.
James.
Sam.
Ella.
Chris.
Hi.
So, if you were to give yourself a gift this holiday season, Sam, what would it be?
Sobriety.
A hug from me. I'm thinking of this line from, what do they say on The Grinch? The gift of holiday cheer? Is that what it is?
I don't know, man. I'm just asking you a real question.
Spread holiday cheer for all to hear.
Yeah.
Nobody heard my joke except for...
What did you? Because you
I
said it
sobriety.
behind
Sobriety.
Sobriety would be nice.
But
Yeah.
I said it was a joke and nobody laughed.
Nobody heard you.
If I were to give myself a gift on the real, it would just be like, hey, Sam, have more compassion for yourself. Things are going to work out. You're on the right road. That's what it would be.
Yeah.
Internalizing it.
Yeah.
Way easier said than done.
Yeah, I just wanted some socks.
Yeah,
Dude, I see you
shut
have nice
up,
sock
Sam.
game. You're-
Like,
You're always wearing the stance socks. That's valid.
Hey, I got my I love Jesus socks on today,
Chris
man.
says I love Jesus socks.
Heck
on.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
Ella, what do you think?
I got some pretty cool socks.
No, not about the socks.
I think for Christmas, I would, if I could give myself anything, I'd probably just give myself a big long hug with Jesus. Just a big 5-minute, biggest hug of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sam, it sounds like a gift you would have liked to have received was a really good therapist.
That is true. You know what's really, really hard?
Like a past version of you would have really liked that gift.
Recovery is hard, but even harder in recovery is when you don't have the right resources. I'll just dive right into that one.
Go for it.
I've had a real frustration in recovery, guys. First therapist I ever went to, you know what he told me to do to help me overcome pornography addiction?
Push-ups.
No. Stop talking about it. He said that.
Wow.
So that's,
So-
I know, that's crazy, right? We're talking okay, that's super rare. You're not going to find that many therapists who are that uneducated about shame and addiction and recovery, right? But I've had a pretty frustrating experience with therapists where it just felt like, until I was on my 10th therapist, I never had someone help me identify hey, dude, why has no one ever digged underneath all of this stuff?
Yeah.
And helped you to see that there's some wounding and maybe some trauma and maybe some belief patterns or shame, right?
Yeah.
And I've been so frustrated about that. I've always, when someone opens up to me about therapy, one of the first things if they ask for my help, I'll talk to them hey, here are some things that you should find in a therapist, and I mention those things.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what your guys' experience has been with that. What has worked in therapy, and who have you found that was really helpful to you? Chris?
I actually got introduced to, he was a wonderful therapist for me. He really helped me see a lot of things about myself and helped me in my recovery process. So before I got to him, there was a guy that was he was checked out in life, man. He was just showing up because we were giving him money. It was a group deal, and that's just how he was. And I'm like, I don't even know what the hell this guy's even talking about. I was so lost, and I still continue to be lost until got introduced to an old buddy, Todd, and he just really helped me through a lot of stuff. Helped me see myself for who I really was. He was the one that introduced me to Warrior Heart Boot Camp, and I was able to still continue to change my life.
So why did it work? Why did it work?
Because he gave me a lot of tools to use to understand that I can use those tools instead of acting out, and really just understand the shame that I felt.
No,
And-
that's where I was going to go. I'm like,
Yeah.
if anybody's looking for help around, pornography or unwanted sexual behavior or whatever, if that therapist doesn't bring up shame, in your first meeting, you're in the wrong place.
Yep.
And frankly, you can know whether or not that therapist is the right therapist for you after one visit.
Yeah, I would agree with
One
that.
visit. And so you don't owe it to the therapist to go back if after that first visit you're like, I'm not sure, I don't know.
Right.
Like, then don't go.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't get the like, oh, this is, I think I can click with this person, this is going to be great. If you don't have that feeling, go somewhere else.
Yeah, an interesting concept. Someone said this in one of my group chats. It was like a warrior heart thing the other day. We were talking about different types of therapy, and he said someone was kind of bagging on one form of therapy, and one of the guys in the group said, well, dude, maybe that's just not your vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Ford guy. Maybe you like Chevys.
Sure.
Right? So, like, within the structure of shame and trauma and dealing with these things that we know are important, there's also some individual variation, I think, in personality. And you can tell, again, I think, James, like, dude, like, you can probably tell within 10 minutes, honestly. Like, does my personality, like, really jive with this person? Do I feel like opening up to them? Do I feel unashamed and unafraid in this room doing therapy with this person?
Right.
Ella, I'm curious for you. What has worked in therapy? What's your experience been like?
How did you know you found somebody that clicked? How do you know you feel like you found
Because you've
the right
talked
person?
you said you really like your therapist right now, right?
I've only ever had 2 therapists, and I loved both of them. But yeah, I think what I was.
So I'm the problem. I'm just messing with you.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
No, I was thinking about how I think when you're looking for the right therapist, I think it's important that you can tell they are genuinely interested in your well-being, and not in like a personal way, because you know, it's the therapist, you're paying them for their time, so you don't want them to be like emotionally invested in your outcomes, but somebody who is motivated to help you really work on the things that you kind of make goals with them to work on. And I just had an experience with my therapist this week, because I didn't go for like 2 months straight, because, you know, and he was like, so you didn't come to therapy for a couple months right after we had this big session about how you are really avoidant, and like when things get
brutal,
when things get really bad, you just like retreat. And we had this big session about how your mental health is the worst it's ever been at, and then you fell off the face of the earth for 2 months. So you want to talk about that today, maybe? And I was like, damn. Okay. So just somebody who, like, you can tell really, you know, I could tell he was paying attention to me and had gone over, you know, what we had talked about, and genuinely is interested in my, you know, betterment as a person.
Yeah. So,
James, you got something cooking, dude. I can see it in your eyes.
Go to a therapist that, like, when you meet with them for the first time, they're like, yeah, I can help you with that. And, like, here's the plan. Here's my initial thoughts. What do you think? Does that sound good to you? Mm-hmm. Like,
and I'm not going to cure you in 30 days.
Right. And they ain't selling some magic pill of like, yeah, come try my workshop and do this for 2 days, and then you're going to be healed forever. You're never going to look at porn again. That's a little different than like, hey, we understand that you're going to have some trauma. We can heal that part of the trauma. That might be able to help you do this, and then create change and get you a process going. And that's a different thing when someone's like, here's how the process can all work.
How would you know if they really actually know the thing, right? I mean, you mentioned shame, but is it deeper than that? Like, if I'm walking into a therapist office, James, and you're a therapist, that's why I'm asking you.
Sure.
And I can look for specific indicators to tell me whether or not, just on a base level, personality aside, that this person actually knows what they're doing and is going to be a super helpful resource for me.
Yeah.
What's the thing? Or what are the things?
Well, they're going to know what they're talking about around your thing. So it's like, hey, Sam, you're really struggling with pornography. So in my case, I'll tell clients, hey, that's been my walk too. I've struggled with that as well. So I feel like I might be a little farther ahead in that path. So here's some of the things that I have done and will do to help bring you along to that place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have a plan. And I'm like, first, we're going to talk about how can we create an environment in which you can get your needs met, but it's not about you acting outside of your value system to get there. How can we deal with the shame that's more often than not the driver of what you're experiencing? And then on the other side of that, once you can learn to start to combat your shame, you're going to really reclaim your identity. Because once you know who you are, you're going to replace all that BS language that's going on in your head that's making it really hard to live inside your body right now. Like, it's just being able to describe, look, here's where we're headed.
Yeah,
Here's the things that we're going to do to help move you along here so that porn isn't the only solution you've got to deal with the fact that you don't like the person that you are, that you feel unlovable, that you believe you got to hustle and earn your worth in life. Actually, you just get to be you and just worthy of love as you are, regardless of whether or not you're actually engaging in pornography. Like, I can hit all that with somebody in 15 minutes.
Right.
And either that's going to resonate with you or it's not. Truth's going to ring. If I'm ringing the bell.
I was going to say you're going to kind of feel if they're right for you also just with your intuition. They're going to start saying stuff that really feels right and really feels true.
You can connect to that message real quick.
Yeah. And so it's kind of a combination of that for me. And also, we don't want to stay in that space where they're just like hitting you with like, the one-liners. You don't want to just stay there and like not get anything done. You kind of want a good balance of like, this feels really true and really right, what you're telling me, and what do I do about it?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I think that goes along too is like how maybe you've been with a therapist for a long time.
Yeah.
You're still totally acting out. You're still doing all the things. You're just like nothing's really changing. You're not changing parts of your life. And like I've got a buddy of mine. He's been with the same therapist for 17 freaking years.
At that point,
jeez.
Like.
At that point, it's what are you doing?
Come on.
Yeah.
I'd say that to any listener out there. If you've been with your current therapist for more than like 5 years, get another one. It's time to move on.
Right.
Because, you might have all the rapport in the world, but for whatever reason, this person isn't helping you get over the hump you need to get over. So find somebody else and see if they can put it in different words or do a different modality.
Because eventually you do want to fire them. Eventually you want to be healed enough that you don't.
Well, yeah. You shouldn't be going to therapy for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to just manage this addiction. Like, you can just heal from this addiction, from this compulsive behavior. Like, be healed. Jesus heals. We're unashamed. We believe in Jesus. And so use the resources that you need to for as long as you need to, but hey man, if you've been sitting at the pool of Bethesda for 17 years still thinking that water's going to stir and you're going to get in the water, and that ain't it.
Yeah.
You need to go find the real healing somewhere, and that person's not guiding you there. So like, get to the person who maybe is. Try a different modality. If you're just sitting there doing talk therapy and you just get in and sit and talk about things, go try something else. Go try some EMDR or some ART or some somatic stuff or some energy work or some experiential work or
my favorite, psychodrama.
Sure.
Yep.
Like whatever the one works for you.
Right.
I mean, just try some other stuff, because clearly if you've been doing this for 10 or 17 years, they have taken you as far down the road as they are capable of taking you.
Yeah.
The therapist can only take you as far as they have gone. So like when you're stuck, they're stuck, like just, it's time. So anyway.
Well, I think it's Mark Pimsleur, Magic Mark, that we've had on here. He says, is it, you may know it better than me, don't mistake comfortable for safety. Is that what he says?
Well, I mean, I think that was actually from Gabor Mate. I think originally he said often in our trauma brain, our brain mistakes comfort for safety or familiarity for safety. Just because it's familiar, we mistake that and believe that now since it's familiar, it's safe. Well, and just because I'm familiar with a cycle of abuse or blah, 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 I actually because it's familiar to me, I will mistake that in my brain as a safe environment. And where in actuality, sometimes moving to safety can be really unfamiliar and in a way feel quite unsafe in our trauma response. And so, good point.
Yep.
Like, it's just, you got to move into something new, get pushed outside of your comfort zone.
Because I what I tell my clients is if you want to make changes in your life, you got to make changes in your life. So if you have a therapist that you've been working with for a long time, and you're not making changes and nothing's happening, like,
Time
let's
to
go
move on. Yep.
Right.
Find a different one.
Yep. So, keys to a good therapist. One thing for you, Ella. One word. One tip.
Intuition.
Okay. Follow your gut.
That's good.
Great. Sam?
For me, like educated, but not in like everybody's educated, right?
Sure.
I'm talking like knows the thing. I actually personally look for someone who's been through addiction recovery themselves, but
Okay.
Yeah.
education, whatever that looks like.
Okay, so your word's education. Great.
Yep.
My word, movement.
Well, I like that one.
That's a good one.
If you're moving and they can help you create movement, you might be in the right place.
Yeah.
Healthy connection for me.
Okay. Great.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to Live Unashamed. We just want to remind you we are a nonprofit. We run off of donations. And if you want to help us move the movement forward, head to our website and become an outsider. And even just a small donation every single week, or every month.
Or weekly is fine.
Or weekly is fine.
We'll take it.
Daily?
Whatever works.
For a penny a day. Yeah. Yep.
In the arms.
Get it, Ellen.
Follow us on social media at Unashamed Unafraid. Give us a 5-star like us on social media so we can get this out to more people. And until next time, continue to live unashamed.